corn growers come together to celebrate their wins despite a challenging year. I'm Steve White on the Rural Radio Network, visiting with Michael Dibbern, president of the Nebraska Corn Growers and a corn farmer in Western Hall County.
Well, Michael, you just wrapped up your annual meeting. It's always good to get people together and kind of hash things out and set the course for the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the basis of a grassroots organization. We're true to that, and that our elected officials enjoy having a grassroots organization like us. And so, yeah, this is where we come together and put it all together and set the path.
Really some wins last year. One big beautiful bill was a pretty big deal. Corn exports remain really strong despite the tariff situation. I mean, there's some positives.
Yeah, and that's one thing we got to remain positive through all of this, and that's been our theme too, that you cannot forget about all the wins and the positives that we've had, because that's the nature of agriculture. It's cyclical, and so if you keep your emotions cyclical with it, that's not healthy. So yeah, it all in all had wins in the policy front and wins in the export front too.
Certainly engaged both nationally, but also locally. I mean, there's state issues that happen and local issues, and growers can get involved in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now we're actively following bills as they're dropping now in the legislature, the unicameral there, and so we'll be keeping a watch there over the next few weeks and having some chats about what we need to come in and testify on in person and testify in other ways and staying true to everybody.
Well, there's always things like property taxes. There will be a bunch of different ideas. Who knows if that'll happen? But I mean, that's one of those that certainly you want to stay engaged on issues like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think as much as we'd like to think that every idea has been tried, I think when you do that, it means you're giving up. And I think there's some things that can be done, and you never know who's going to have a good idea and bring forward. So we're going to remain hopeful that some things can happen.
Maybe we should tell people a little bit about you and your operation. You're in Hall County.
Yeah, so I farm with my dad, and my grandpa's still around, but not doing as much as he can. But it's your traditional family farm there for sure. Grew up around it and thankfully was able to come back to it. Corn, soybeans, a little bit of cow-calf cattle that have been, needless to say, that's been helpful to have that diversification there. But my dad's getting up there, and I'm mid-30s and whatnot, and it's hard to believe, but I've also I don't have a real clear path, I guess, on what's going to happen after me, but it's interesting how that's still something you got to think about. But
yeah. Well, it's neat, though, being here, because there's certainly some guys who've been part of this organization for decades, longer than you've been alive. But there are some younger guys. There's some young blood in this organization. And does that encourage you to see other guys who are even in their 30s or younger who are getting involved?
Yeah, absolutely. To be an effective association, we need to be as reflective as the demographics of our growers as we can be. And as things are coming along, as there's going to be a huge turnover in properties as farmers, I think the average is in the upper 50s now. So that's coming down the pipe. And so, yeah, we need some young guys to come in and do that. We're glad that we can do some of that leadership development and get them excited for what we can do, but also take advantage of the foundations that the older guys have laid before us.
If there's an issue that they're passionate about and that they bring to the state level, it gives you a chance to talk about, do we want to include this as part of our overall kind of policy, of going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. We're always saying get involved, and it doesn't mean, jumping onto a board or trying to wait and see if you can find a place on a board. It's simply getting to one of these local corn grower chapter events, and they're pretty spread out, and we've got a pretty good footprint across there. So keep your eye out. We do some good advertising and getting those events, and get out and let us know what's going on in your farm and what we need to address and keep as a high priority.
Yeah, because I think some people probably think, gosh, I'm going to get suckered into being on a bunch of committees and doing a bunch of meetings. But really, you can get involved, come to a field day, come to an annual meeting in your county. I mean, those are good places to start, aren't they?
Yeah, and you got to think about the byproducts of it. It's the camaraderie between your fellow corn growers and fellow neighbors of getting together and doing something beyond the coffee shop, actually thinking, brainstorming on some things and leveraging the staff that we have to make things actually get to the elected leaders.
There's the corn checkoff. That's important. They're able to do some important things. But for people who want to get involved in a little different way and get involved in some policy issues that the Corn Board can't touch on, Do you think it's important that people consider getting involved with their growers association?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we're always trying to clear up. You know, everyone pays the check off, but not everybody has to pay for a membership due to be the association. But on the flip side of that, that's because there's a lot of rules that at state level the corn board cannot participate in. But that doesn't mean that we need to just let that be. So this is our way to advocate at the state level effectively and do that and basically put your money where, you know, your feelings are, and to be effective in the policy world where those are decisions being made that you may think they're not going to affect you, but absolutely they will.
Again, we've been visiting with Michael Dibbern. He farms in western Hall County between Wood River and Carroll, president of the Nebraska Corn Growers.